and that is the return of COVID-19 to the WWE. It's been a little while since Drew McIntyre had it, and even longer since 30 people plus had it way back when. Jeff Hardy, who is due to win a rematch with Karrion Kross on Raw this week, more details on that later, has been confirmed as yet another member of the WWE locker room to be struck down with COVID-19. Thank you very much, Mags, for resubscribing. That's a second month, and I very much appreciate it, sir. Jeff Hardy finally got away from WWE's main event show. Not the actual main event scene, the main event TV show, and finally, after months of trying, he managed to pick up a win. It's been a long time since he actually managed to pick up a win. That win was against the previously undefeated Karrion Kross and essentially buried NXT to give Triple H a little slap in the face. But still, Hardy apparently picked up the positive result a couple of days ago after attending a live show within the WWE. There was an immediate suspicion that he may have had that positive test before that live show. I'm assured this is not the case. COVID-19 does not deliver an instantaneous positive. Instead, somebody tends to pick up the virus 1 or 2 days before it manifests as a positive, and in the past this has been a real problem for the WWE. A number of people within the company have unintentionally spread the virus simply by getting negative results and infecting other people while asymptomatic. The WWE potentially have a real problem here because of that, because Jeff Hardy undoubtedly had COVID-19 for several days before he got the positive test, and Jeff Hardy, not very long at all before picking up the positive, was taking pictures with fans, unmasked, after a live event. By and large, the WWE are very confident in the protections and the setup that they have at the Performance Center and indeed on tour, where the protections are admittedly less, but still quite strong as an overall comparative to a lot of other companies. They provide daily testing for all staff. Masks are worn consistently backstage, but there is one clear example of the opposite of that, and that's the locker room talent. The actual wrestlers very rarely wear masks outside of a couple of names you'd expect. Backstage in the WWE, a large proportion of both male and female locker rooms no longer wear masks and have apparently largely given up caring about the virus. There are notable exceptions, but most of those are on the SmackDown side. Roman Reigns still works in a minor bubble. Meanwhile, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are vocally very careful not to infect or be infected. This has caused small divisions and arguments between wrestlers and has resulted in at least one intended storyline being scrapped entirely because the two wrestlers simply could not work together given their opposing views. When it comes to vaccination, it is simply the case that many wrestlers have rushed out to get vaccinated, but some wrestlers, including those who've been advertising vaccinations to the general public, have not sought out vaccinations at this time. There was a time at which I was reporting that the amount of people in the WWE with COVID-19 had reached 30 plus. This is no longer the case, but the WWE does not insist on people in contact with someone else infected isolating. So those who have been working in and around Jeff Hardy have not been told to isolate, even those that shared a locker room with him a day before he got the positive test. Those who were working with Jeff have been told to report to work. Those that took pictures with Hardy have not been contacted. Instead, Jeff Hardy has been told to go home until he can provide proof of a negative test, just a single negative test, at which point he'll be told to come back to work. Now, I'm unwilling to share any names of other people who may or may not have been affected by this, so I can't sit here and say no one has, and I can't sit here and say anyone has. Some within the WWE are not best pleased with how the WWE have handled the situation. Others are very happy with it. COVID is no longer as divisive as it was, and it's starting to show. More people will catch the virus over the next few months, but a COVID positive test is becoming much less of an issue to the company, particularly with their push for vaccinations. The expectation is that very soon the WWE will say to its talent, okay, if you get COVID-19, that's on you, and that's your fault. You need to be vaccinated, you need to be protecting yourself, you will not receive sick pay. That is an expectation. I do not have any sources stating that it will happen, but wrestlers believe that it will happen. As long as nobody else catches it this time around, the WWE have chosen to go for business as usual and act like nothing has changed. Ed says, do we know if Jeff has been vaccinated? I do not have details on that. WWE and WWE wrestlers in general tend to keep that sort of information to themselves, and I can definitely respect that because it's definitely a situation whereby it is private medical records. So I can't sit here as a journalist and say that's the other way around. Eleanor says that's terrible. Wrestlers participate in the vaccine ad and then don't get the vaccine themselves. There is definitely more than one who have done that. Ed says that is illegal, I believe, in the US. Is that illegal for private contractors? Is it illegal for people who are not employees? That's the question here. Also, more importantly, is it illegal if it's not implicitly said? Because a lot of companies get away with that. Brandon says, gutted for Jeff. Hopefully he's pushed still when he returns and not sent back to main event again. I do have something as to the plans for Karrion Kross and Jeff Hardy. If you're watching this on a YouTube video, that won't be today. And if you're watching this on spoiler warning, it'll be very soon.